As y'all can see, the sticker was junk from sitting outside. I've already done this while it was on the stand, but I figured I'd show you. This is kind of old school way. One thing for sure is, I don't know if you can't see that, but both sides are spinning at the same time. So it should have a locker of some sort in it, like a posi track or whatever will be in it. Hopefully it'll be a spool before too long. But so I'm just using, this was factory. I'll put this where I can see it in here. I spray bombed one line right there, as you can see. So I'm gonna go one complete rotation and count how many times I see that line. 1, 2, 3, and that's real close to where we was. And if that is on the other side, bam. So they came with a 331 and a 355. I was mistaken. 331 and 355 is pretty close together, like that close, to do it this method. But I'm pretty sure it's a 355 with a locker of some sort. So there's that. I could have used something else to get in here, but I just used that third link, put one pin in it, and pulled the rear end up to where I could get to it and mess with it. So that's that. I am gonna have to get the right flange for the rear end, the pinion flange. That's not the correct one. I'll have to pop that off and get the right one. So short of that, it's pretty well a direct swap so far. Well, here they are. I got some of the Lakewood 9010 struts and some new 1.5" lowering springs, just eBay lowering springs, and some new isolators for up top. These are old and crusty, as you can tell, and I figure this will help out quite a bit with launching the car off the brake. I also have 50/50 Lakewood shocks for the back. And I have some lower control arms on the way. That's why the rear end's still down. But they should be here in the next couple days. I'm just trying to get this thing ready for a good hard launch. And who knows, maybe one day I can do a wheelie or something. But either way, I'll set you up on a time lapse and we'll get going. Well, I know this might get a little boring, but here's a time lapse. I'm starting to pull the transmission now. I'm ready to put the 400 in it. It has a turbo 350 in it that's junk. I'm dropping the starter, getting the converter bolts out, just getting all the lines loose, doing everything I need to do. And, of course, I got my little sidekick in the shop with me helping. Like I said, just going to pull it out. I'm going to try and get the 400 in, as y'all see, and get ready for the next step. right, so here it is the next day. I got the 400 in, and I'll turn around and show y'all here in just a second. But I had to move the mount, or I'm gonna have to move the mount, but it's gonna work, so I'm pretty happy about that. I'm gonna do that. I got to undo the battery because I'm gonna tack it back up there and weld it later. I just wanna make sure it's in the right spot for the mount. Got the front suspension on, still waiting on the back bars. They should be here anytime. Shipping's crazy right now because of Christmas, I imagine. But short of that, we're gonna get this thing slammed back together before too long. All right, here's the 400 in the car, which I have some stuff in the way here. That'll all move, but it looks really tight, but there's room. I'm super happy. Everything fits good. It looks good and straight in the car. But as you can tell, I actually had to physically flip this mount around backwards, and when I did, it offset this, but it put it in the right spot, so it's super close. So my plan is to cut this off, move it over, tack it back in where it needs to go. But I gotta get the car down real fast, undo the battery, and then I will get the jack back underneath of it and get the mount out, and we'll do some cutting and welding and get her ready. Well, I've kind of ran into a little bit of a snag, but it's not the end of the world. I'm gonna try and demonstrate what I got going on. So this is my old mount that I've got cut off. As you can see, it sets too far back. And also, I don't have enough width on my holes here. So basically, I marked it out and I set this on the bench and I got my height of what it needed to be. And I'm gonna cut it off here. I'm gonna use a taller piece of angle, like a 3-inch piece of angle, and get the same height and widen out my holes. I don't have enough room on here, enough meat on it to make it work. And I've drawn out a very simple diagram on an old O'Reilly's deal. There's my 4 1/4 hole width here for where it mounts to the transmission mount. And as you can see, that's just a generic drawing. Whatever I end up with, it needs to be 3.5 inches high. And then it will end up right here on this bar, and I can tack it in place, take it down and weld it solid, and we'll be good to go. Well, so here we go. I've got my bracket mounted up. I made it a little bit taller, out of a little bit taller piece of angle. As you can tell, I got it in there, and I'm just tacking all this up for my mount. I'm just gonna MIG weld it on there real quick, just tack it, and then I'll put it down on the bench and TIG it up. But anyways, this is kind of the last thing I got for the week. All right, so here we go. Here it is. There's the mount just tacked into place where it needs to go. I think it'll be just fine. I'll give y'all a rundown of what we've done this week. So we got the 1.5-inch lowering struts and 90-10 Lakewood struts. Got the rear end in. I also didn't show you this. I'll put up the part number to this flange. You have to swap the flange over so it works in the 8.8. Or yeah, from the 7.5 to the 8.8. Next order of things is I have my yoke here, but I have to get my drive shaft to fit this setup. So I'm waiting on my lower control arms to come in. I thought I would already had them by now, but thanks to USPS being slow, and we'll chalk that up to it being Christmas more than likely. But so I'll have 50/50 Lakewood drag shocks in the back and 1.5-inch lowering springs in the back as well. There they are on the floor. Sorry, the shop is just ridiculous, but it's kind of an update of what I've done this week. I've also cleaned everything up and got it undercolored and whatnot. So we'll catch y'all next time.